in this time of Gaguru, the most important is that we keep together, we build our resilience so that we can continue saving lives. And the second message is that at the same time, we have to continue being resilient so that all progress we got on SRO, HR, advocacy work we have been doing is continuing. Those are two main messages I bring to this conference.
Take young people on a decision-making level, include them in that process, so not feeling excluded, not feeling isolated, because that kind of isolation grows in what we're facing now. And that kind of, it turns into hatred, it turns to a minority turning against another minorities.
I think there was a very strong message about remembering what combines us as human beings, that we actually are more alike than we are different. And if we remember that, then it's easier to break the bubbles so that we are not afraid to have the bubbles overlap each other, and that creates more understanding.
At Femnet, we have a very strong movement of women and girls across the continent, right? So one of the first actions is for us to keep the information disseminated amongst our members, but also keep the work that we are doing visible and alive, because we know that the populism and other actions of opposition will only be visible and will only get worse, right? And the situation will only get more intense, but we must also keep up and fight back, right? So when we go back, we will keep doing the amazing work we are doing, occupying the internet, and also being more deliberate about the message we send out, but also keeping up the resolve and keeping the solidarity globally and in Africa.
From the regional, local level, from the national level, from the European level, and also we need the international support, because this is the problem. We are facing the backlash from all over the world, not only in Europe, not only in different countries. We are facing the backlash recently during the past years from all over, and we need to be united and loud.
We should not let ourselves be put back by what is happening throughout the world. What we have seen as a reaction to some of the populist movements is that those countries who believe in, for example, gender equality, have also become much more stronger in articulating their message and in forming coalitions to bring that message. What we have done with She Decides is actually a very good example. Today, more than 60 countries who believe that gender equality is the logical thing, but is also an economic sound thing, have found each other and are actually a coalition who are stronger than ever in advocating this topic.
And one of the things that we're calling for is for civil society partners working with governments and the UN system as a community to look at ways in which we can work together in terms of strategies, approaches, the language that we use to overcome the challenges from those groups that are fighting progress.
I think an important action for the SRHR community in general is that now we have 48 countries that have volunteered to be reviewed at the High-Level Political Forum next year. We know that now. We know who they are. So what is important is that we, from now on, engage in this process. So we reach out to our government, say that we want to contribute to developing the national voluntary review reports, that we want to have speaking time at the UN ECE, Regional Forum for Sustainable Development, and at the UN High-Level Political Forum. We have a lot to share and we have a lot to contribute with. So already now we should be part of that official process. We should also, together with our national civil society organizations, cooperate and make a push for a civil society voice in our countries, broadly speaking, not only on SRHR. And that has to start now. That's the main action point, I guess.
Abortion is a contested issue around Europe increasingly, but for very different kinds of reasons and in different contexts and situations. Each one of those is really, really important. And what is very important within that is that we hold on to and we build and we nourish a really good grassroots mobilising around this issue, because there is resistance to abortion, either to putting legislation in place in Ireland, for example, my own country, where it's prohibited, in Poland, where they're trying to roll back on the law, in Macedonia, where they're doing exactly the same kind of thing, and then looking at using and understanding how vulnerable it is, even in Germany, for example, and seeing what we can learn from one another to, first of all, protect the rights that women have in European countries already to access abortion, and more broadly, reproductive health services that are fundamental and basic right. And at the same time to push forward and to work together from a grassroots level to protect and to expand those rights, because we still live in a Europe, and it hurts me to say it, in 2017, when we cannot say that women throughout Europe can access the reproductive health services that they need.
I think the first thing we should do is go to the streets, because I think we really need to take these struggles to the streets. We need to have political debates. We need to get in touch with the citizens. For that, we need grassroots mobilization, and I hope that next year in Ireland we will win a referendum and go ahead from there.
Try and find the themes that people can galvanize around, even if they are not strident sexual and reproductive rights activists, but that they can see your point of view and what are those themes. So it's really a call to action for the movement to resist, but to resist in smart ways, and then of course to move forward.